Hello guys, welcome back. Please forgive the bad lighting, but it's 1 o'clock and somebody asked me a really good question and I figured I would answer it before I forget because I always tell myself I will remember. I go up to bed, I fall asleep, and I forget what the hell I wanted to say. So they asked about Lilith, what my experiences are working with her, and I said honestly, she's a combination between making sure I'm truly independent and doing what I want with my own spirituality, making sure I'm truly doing that, but she also combines it with, hey, these other demons, gods, goddesses, whatever term you like, they want to teach you too. You should really be working with them. Not twisting my arm, not. She can sometimes give you a shove in the right direction, but saying you really should be taking advantage of this because, sometimes it's a limited time offer. With some gods, some demons, some whatever. If you're not getting on board that train at the moment it's in the station, fine. They're not going to wait around for you. They gave you a chance, you didn't take it. That, no hard feelings, but they're not going to wait around. And a good example, and I'm going to use my own life as an example, is, she's the one that will work me through anytime I get what I call the Jesus crazies. She will work me through it. She will say, well, is he the only God? Is he the all-powerful only God that did everything? I'm like, no, I'm talking to you. Whether you see her as a demon or a goddess, I'm like, no, I'm talking to you, and I know many gods. She goes, okay, he's not the only, only God in town. She goes, is he stronger than any other god? Keeping in mind, he's not the only one. Probably not. I don't know. I don't even know how you would measure that. And I've seen him fail in my own life, so it's not like Jesus has the best healing record in my life. And then she'll ask practical questions like, what do you have to do when you go to church? And she's speaking about Catholic Church. I said, well, you have to bow your head and you have to kneel to pray. And you can tell her temper went through the roof, but she's remaining calm. She's not mad at you. She's mad at the church, just to be clear. And she says, okay, you're kneeling in front of God and you're bowing your head. And what do you have to do? I said, well, you have to submit to God and beg God's forgiveness. And, oh. She goes, yeah. Hey, you really, do you still want to, go to church sometime? You want to go beg God to forgive you and grovel at his feet and hope he doesn't strike you dead? And she says, but maybe I'm wrong. Explain, she's serious. She says, explain Christianity to me. And I said, well, the way I was brought up, I said, you have to submit to God. You kind of have free will and you don't. It's like a infamous cat. You have free will, yet if you're trying to do something and it doesn't go well, you were going against God's will. So how much free will do you really have? And if it goes well, it must be by God's will, unless it's something the church doesn't approve of, then it's Satan blessing you or some damn thing, I don't know. And I said, well, you kind of have free will until God doesn't want you to, and then you better do what God says or else. It's the burning place for all eternity. And she's just, she's nodding and kind of looking at me. But, in general, for me, I feel like I'm off camera or something. I'm sorry. In general, for me, she's really empowering. She's really, she makes me own my own personal power. And she makes me, if I wanted to work with Jesus, if I was doing it from a place of a God to walk beside me and work with me and co-create with me, that's fine. If I'm doing it as a God to throw myself at the feet of or crawl behind, no, I'll let you hide from time to time, but you know what I mean. If I'm doing it as, giving up all my power and giving up all my self-determination and free will and just throwing myself at the feet of that God, that doesn't help. It wouldn't help if it were any other god or goddess either, because we don't learn if all we end up doing is becoming a human puppet for a god. And, basically the flavor of Christianity I was brought up was Roman Catholic. You have to do God's will your whole entire life. You can't really go against the program, because if you do, bad burning place for you when you die. Unless you were really sorry right before you die. It's the strangest damn clause in any religion I've ever seen. Like, Do whatever you want your whole entire life, just apologize before you die and you're in heaven. I mean, no matter what you did, Hitler could be in heaven. It's a well-known thing. So it's kind of a messed up religion. The further away you are from it, you're like, oh. And I said, well, as I'm talking, using my own example, I said, I think I like the idea of Jesus. Not crazy bipolar Jesus in the Bible, but cleaned up, modern Jesus who's very different and very peaceful and, very gentle and a healer. And so she will just walk you through whatever problem you're having, and she will say, well, will you allow for the possibility that, say, for example, Jesus in my life was another deity? And I said, of course I will, because Jesus I work with never talked about sin, not even once. Really didn't want to talk about the cross, because that was really depressing. Oh, shut up, Loki. Shut up! That's a terrible joke. Alright, I'll tell them. We're gonna lose all of our viewers. Why do people think Jesus is coming back? He wasn't nailed to a boomerang. Oh, you're terrible! I can. And Odin calls him God on a stick. To say that they're not on board the Jesus train is putting it mildly. It's not like they outright hate Christians or Catholics or something, but they're not a fan of anybody that comes into their territory. And I get, yeah! Anyhow, where the hell was I before you interrupted with your joke? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention, eh? But, she will walk you through that. She will walk you through the idea of why would you want to serve a deity that's going to end the world, come back as a total psychopath, raise an army, and kill everybody that's left, and if you won't be in his army, you don't have a choice to be a pacifist. This is like crazy bonkers Jesus that's supposed to be coming back. You won't have a choice to be a pacifist. You will be fighting in his army. And they left out the part in this one Seven Seals thing I saw about all the dead rising up too. So all the dead are gonna rise up too at the same time. So fucking zombies and two gigantic armies fighting it out on a planet that's already gone straight to hell, and there's nothing left to eat, and there's nothing left worth living for because everything's been destroyed. And I'm like, the more you point it out, the weirder that religion is. I'm not sure how we've sold it for 2,000 years, but I don't know. But she's very empowering. She's very about looking at stuff, and she's very about if you could concede that there we were. If you could concede that Jesus may have been another deity, who would he have been? And we've worked to our conclusions, and she will then leave you to do with that what you will. Once you reach your own conclusion, you can act on it. Fine, great. She's not going to force you though. She's sometimes, like I said, she will give you a nudge in the right direction. But if it's something she feels you're not ready for, and she knows forcing you is not going to work, she's not even going to bother. She's just going to walk away, and she's going to be like, okay, I pointed you in the right direction. I gave you all the pieces of the puzzle, and she doesn't do that with everyone, but with me, she's very patient. She explains things. She's like, I have literally given you the answer, now it's up to you what to do with it. And she said, I will hand you this answer 50 times because I know all the programming you go through when you're brought up in a church. She said, but, eventually it's going to come a time where we've given you the answer 50 times. You know the answer. You have to choose which you're going to believe. Are you going to believe the church? Or are you going to believe the answers we're giving you? Because what would she profit lying to me, right? Or as Satan puts it, oh yeah, the part where I drag you somewhere and poke you with a stick. I love that part most of all. He doesn't have time to be polite. He gets mad. He does not like a lot of the church teachings. He's not quiet about it. Neither does Lucifer. Lucifer's part, at least in my experience, is going around picking up ex-Catholics and cuddling them really close and telling them it's okay, he's not allowed to hurt you anymore. So, that shows you what happens. If you have a religion that's so bad and so out of kilter and so based on fear of this bad burning place if you don't do exactly what God says your entire life, of course people are going to end up going to the supposed bad guy who, what did Satan do in the Bible, or Lucifer, whoever you see it as, taught humans to be aware and gave them the gift of wisdom, and we can't have that, can we? So, in Lilith, if you look at her story from the Bible, she was just like, no, I want equal rights. I want to be treated as an equal. I want to be independent. And God wouldn't give her the power. This is the story where she was in the Bible. There are older stories where she was a goddess, just to be clear. And God, Adam goes to God and he's complaining. He says, she won't have sex with me the way I want. I want to be dominant and be on top. And she was like, no, go fuck yourself. Because she's our independent lady, that's why. And God says, well, there's two different endings to this story, by the way. In one version, she goes up to God and she says, hello, God. And she bats her little eyelashes at him. She charms God into telling her his holy, ineffable name. She utters his name, grows wings, and flies away. And in the other version, the snake, being Satan or Lucifer, whichever one you choose, is a lot more amendable to her wishes sexually than Adam was. So Adam's off sulking in the corner somewhere, and those two are getting it on, and God has to send in angels. I don't know why God's always powerless in these stories, but he is. He sends in these angels, and the angels are like, what are you doing? Ew, gross. And she's like, well, he respects my needs and he respects me as a woman and I don't care. So, so they're going to have babies. So they both get kicked out because, she can't be, having relations with a fallen angel in the form of a serpent. This isn't going to work for them. So they both get kicked out and they run away together, or she runs away with other demons, but they end up in a cave somewhere having demon babies. And meanwhile, Adam is being pissy and moany and saying, the woman you gave wouldn't do what I wanted. So this time, instead of making them both out of clay, and this is whether the Bible contradicts itself, you might as well know this, he puts Adam to sleep, which I think is metaphor for killing him, I'm not sure. Takes out his rib, makes her from Adam's rib, so she is therefore subservient and made for him. She is made to be subservient because obviously making women equals was a horrible idea because they had ideas like they were equals. So she's made to be subservient. She doesn't seem to be quite as smart or as good as the original, obviously. And she's like, okay. And of course, Satan shows up and does the whole thing again. He's like, hey, girl, come here, eat this apple, or whatever fruit it was. Some people say it was a pomegranate, which makes a hell of a lot more sense. It's a lot more tempting. And there you go. So Lilith always has this tradition of being a strong mother goddess. If you've seen the artwork of her, I've always liked it. Like, she looks very triumphant and very empowered, which is why they think that the Jewish scholars try to humanize her and make her into the bad wife who ran away because they are frightened of women having power. Women couldn't have power in their culture. Women couldn't even wear makeup or do anything they wanted in their culture. So, you kidding me? They couldn't have a powerful goddess running around. They had to get rid of her. So, see how well that worked out. I go, woo, hacker. But yeah, I wanted to answer that before I went up to bed, because what I usually do is I'm like, oh, I've got like a really good idea and I'll go upstairs and I'll try to think of it and it'll never come together and I'll fall asleep and you never get it answered. So at least wanted to try to kind of answer that. Again, I'm sorry the lights are off, but it's going towards 2 in the morning and just kind of want to be a good neighbor, plus my weirdo Snoopy neighbors. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye bye.